Hi everybody, John back again. Hi Chris. So this is going to be my entry into your contest. So Chris Propfe has reached 200 subs, I believe, and he's going to have a contest. So this is my entry. First question Chris asks is about your earliest musical memory, or earliest memory of music, I guess. I've got a very, very distant, blurry, but quite important memory, I think, right from way back in 1974-5. So I would have been about 4 or 5 years old. I was born in 1970. So in the UK we had a program called Top of the Pops. It was quite a famous program. It was on every Thursday night, and pretty much everyone of sort of a certain age would sit and watch that on the TV when it was on. And it was sort of the talking point really for the next week, who was on Top of the Pops, and they sort of do this countdown for the top 40, I believe. Yeah. Anyway, so one of my, or perhaps the earliest memory that I can think of, really, musical memory, is watching that. And you know how, if you've ever witnessed sort of small children that, they're just sort of slowly developing their personalities, how they'll sort of pick up on a melody from a pop song or something that they've heard, and you hear them humming it to themselves. I guess that was going on with me at the time. It was a particular line, could it be magic? And yeah, I remember my mum sort of commenting on that at the time, and I think I probably wasn't even aware that I was humming it, but I'd heard it on Top of the Pops on the TV maybe the day before, and it had sort of stuck there. Now, I've sort of spent a bit of time now looking up to try and work out, well, what could have that song been? And I believe it was this song by Pilot called Magic. That seems to be the closest in my memory of the sort of the melody that I was sort of humming, and it falls in about the right time as well, because this was sort of on Top of the Pops in the late 74, I think, maybe 75, and yeah, you can hear it's quite a sort of nice, soft, gentle, friendly melody, and yeah, I should imagine that would have got stuck in my sort of 4 or 5 year old ear. But my memory of seeing it is very different, because I can remember somehow my distant memory has sort of woven these two memories together. It feels like I remember the person singing this song was sitting in a wheelchair. And in those days, I mean, these days still, but I mean, in those days, seeing somebody in a wheelchair performing was really sort of unusual, I suppose. And I think as a child, watching that, it would have, brought on this sort of feeling, this question of, why is that man in a wheelchair? And there was something about his, the way he looked, the way he was delivering this particular song that he was singing, really sort of affected my childish mind. I kind of felt sorry for him, and my mind is sort of melded that image of this man sitting in the wheelchair singing with this song that I was humming the melody of, and so I think they've become one memory really for me. as I've looked up the song, it's a song by Pilot called Magic. Um, I believe the thing that I saw, this man in a wheelchair, was a performance by Robert Wyatt, who had had an accident. Now, Robert Wyatt, I know now, is one of the people that started up the Canterbury scene movement in the progressive rock genre. He had an accident, I think, around about 74. He fell out of a window or something like that. Anyway, he lost his ability to walk, so he was in a wheelchair after that. And one of the first singles, I believe, he released was a cover of a Monkees song, I'm a Believer. So he's sitting in his wheelchair and he's sort of leaning forward and rocking a little bit as he sings, "No, I'm a believer." And yeah, it's quite a striking image. You can't help, even now, feeling a bit sort of sorry for him. There's kind of a tragedy in what you're seeing there. And I think that's probably what my sort of memory has sort of melded together with the Pilot song. So yeah, sorry if that was a bit rambling, Chris, but that's the earliest memory that I can think of music. So another song that Chris asks about is a song that we would sing at karaoke, or what we would perform. I'm really not a karaoke kind of guy. It's not my thing. I haven't got a singing voice as such. I used to play in a band, play guitar, but that was when I was a student, and it was, life before the last, really. It's a long time ago. When I first got married, I lived in Stockholm, and I was going to have I had a stag do, and my brother picked me up in a limousine from my apartment, and we went to town and met up with some friends, and we went to a place, a nightclub called Heartbreak Hotel. It was owned by a Swedish rock and roll star from the 50s called Jerry Williams. It's not there anymore, it's become sort of something else now, but it was sort of a great place to go for people that liked music, I guess, and they had a karaoke night there. On this particular night, the boys that I was there with, my brother and sort of my male friends, had signed me up to go on karaoke and sing "Smoke on the Water" by Deep Purple. Whether that ever actually happened or not, I don't know. I've got absolutely no memory of it. As you can imagine, there was a lot of drinking involved. I would have been, 26 at the time. So I don't know if that happened, but that's what they signed me up for to do. Apart from that, I can't really give you an honest answer. If I was put in a situation where I had to go and sing a song, I'd probably turn on my heels and quickly walk away. Anyway, next question. Chris asked us the question about the 3 Desert Island Discs. I'm not sure if you're aware, Chris, but here in Great Britain on the BBC Radio, we actually have a program called Desert Island Discs. It's a very old program. It's been going for many, many years. Invented by a man called Roy Plumley, who's since died, but the program's gone on with various different hosts and that. It's an interesting program because they have celebrities, they have politicians, they have all types of people selected specifically to be on there to talk about their desert island discs, and really it's just a way of, you know, talking about their life and sort of at sort of point stopping to play a particular song that was important to them at any particular time of their life. You know, it's quite an interesting program. I think that, I mean, they had, like I say, lots of people you've probably never heard of before, but then again they have other people that you have. Paul McCartney, I think, has actually been on it twice. Yeah, it's an interesting program, worth seeking out if you haven't heard it. Anyway, so Chris's question was about 3 desert island discs. Now, I'm inclined at this point in time to answer that in the way that many of the people on the program would answer about books. Apparently at the beginning of this program, when it started all these years ago, the standard answer, or a popular answer that people would give at the end, because they've talked all about the records, and then, you know, one of the last questions in the interview of the program is which book would you wish for on a desert island? And apparently most people said the Bible. So they sort of redid that question and say, okay, you've got the Bible, which book? And then a lot of people afterwards said the complete works of Shakespeare. Now, you know, it becomes a standard answer also. So over the years, I think it's got to the point where the host will say to the person being interviewed, so you've got the Bible, the complete works of Shakespeare, complete works of Dickens, what other book would you wish for? So, you know, I guess the people would wish for these 3 sort of different books, really, is because, well, there's so much there to be read, and if you're on a desert island, you want sort of longevity. You want something that's going to keep you occupied, I guess, and not get tedious, and also you'd want it to be good, high quality stuff. So hence those 3 books are perhaps chosen. Now, I would apply that same logic to these records at the moment. I mean, there are 3 albums I could choose, and my favourite ones or whatever to listen to, but they get a bit repetitive, whatever you choose, isn't it? After three sort of albums listening for however long you're stuck on this desert island. So I'm in the mind at the moment to choose for quantity, but also with an ear cocked to quality too. First one I'm going to show is this. This is Tales of the Topographic Oceans there. It's a double album by Yes. I didn't need to tell anybody about this. It's an amazing album. Sad reason, on the front of my copy someone's written £1.50 there. It's an album that I've had for a long time, and I've never really cracked it. You know, it sort of seems to divide opinion. Some people like it, some people don't. I have sort of gone back and forth. To be honest with you, I haven't really kind of conquered it yet. I haven't got into it. The melodies haven't gone into my mind enough for me to be able to say that I really know this record really well. So I would take this, because if nothing else, I've got time on that island, and so it would be a great time to really sort of immerse myself in this record. So that's number 1. Second one is Genesis, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. It's a double album, lots of tracks. It gets, often a lot of people say it could have been edited down quite a lot. I don't know really if that's true or not. I mean, I know the record, but I understand that it's a concept album. I've got no idea what the concept is, strangely. When I listen to music, I generally kind of listen to the melody, the different instruments and things like that. The last thing I listen to is the words that are being sung. I don't know why that is. Sometimes I try and listen to words, but then my mind just drifts, and my mind just sort of goes straight to the bass line or whatever. So I would probably try and immerse myself in trying to understand really what is the concept behind this album. And again, it's lots of tracks on that, lots to listen to. So that would be my number 2. So yeah, the last of the records I'm going to nominate for my Desert Island Discs is this one. This is a compilation album. It's called Nuggets Original Artifacts from the First Psychedelic Era, 1965 to 1968. Now, I've heard a lot about this record, and I hadn't realised what it was that I had. I mean, I've had it for a while, and I've seen lots of people show this record essentially with sort of a different cover. I'll put it here now. And yeah, it wasn't until I sort of revisited some of my placing of my records and things. I keep this in with the compilations. It wasn't until I sort of revisited and sort of looked through what I had that I realised, oh, this is that record that I've seen spoken of so highly. So yeah, it's basically a double compilation of lots of very early psychedelic artists that I just don't really know anything about. I would take this with me. Not such. I don't really know much about this sort of very early psychedelia. So I think it would be a great opportunity to immerse myself in that. So that's what I would do. Okay, so that's all 3. Chris asks about an album cover that we can spend hours looking at. The first one that comes to mind is this one. It's the first Santana album. I guess most people have seen this before. It's quite a famous image, but it's the sort of the hidden faces in that image there that I think is fun to look at. Just when you think you've found them all, you haven't. I mean, it's not just faces, but also this lady here. There's a face there, and she's wearing some sort of a turban thing, and the lion's lips are also her arms that she's got folded. She's wearing the lion's beard has sort of becomes her grass skirt, if you like. The bottom 2 teeth here, they're essentially just covering up her breasts there. You can see her nipples slightly behind the teeth. I mean, there's so much to be seen in this. There's faces all over here. I don't know if there's a definitive amount of faces that you can see in this picture, but it's one that you can easily get lost in and just spend hours looking at. Quite a nice thing to do. So another question from Chris is the best closing track on an album. That's a really interesting question. I really thought about it. And you could really get lost in that question, couldn't you? Thinking about all the albums that you've listened to, trying to remember the closing tracks and that. The one that I've come up with, and I think this is a pretty strong entry here, it has to be Won't Get Fooled Again by Who on Who's Next. I mean, the song is a great song. It's powerful, it's musically it's fantastic, the performance is really, really rocking. But even the way the track finishes is amazing. So it's a fantastic way to finish the album. I can't think of anything better, really. This is on Trek Record. There you go. Yeah. So that's my answer to that question. Won't Get Fooled Again by The Who on Who's Next. So Chris, I think that covers all the questions, and well, I'd like to wish you all the luck. Thanks very much for watching. Check out my next video. Bye.